My last question, Art, and we see it all the time, and it's one of those things. Is it true or is it not true? It says, "Hey, this is a no closing cost loan. It doesn't cost no closing costs involved." What's that all about? I mean, is that now after what you tell me? Hey, these are fixed costs. You got to have them. Where do they go?
Well, yeah, that's a very good question. And no, to call it a no closing cost loan is misleading at a minimum. And in fact, you don't hear it too much anymore because rates are up. But many people out there viewing this show, you may have heard it too, Jeff. Heard the ads on the radio. I can think of one particular company that for years has been well known for advertising primarily refis, and where they would offer, a no closing cost loan, not one dime out of your pocket, the greatest thing in the history of the world. And it's misleading. Why? Because all they're doing, all those fixed costs I described, all those non-recurring costs are still getting charged. But what they're doing is they're basically, it's a marketing ploy. What they're doing is they're saying, you're not going to have to pay any fees at all. But what they're not really emphasizing is the way that's happening is all those fees are being financed into your rate that they're offering. For example, on our website, you saw there are conforming 30-year fixes at 6.5, based on certain parameters. Well, if we're offering you 6.5 with no points, but we have this set of non-recurring third-party fees that I just described, that's one way, to approach it. But what if you say, hey, that $5,000 in non-recurring fees on that $500,000 purchase price, I don't want to pay those. How can I avoid them? Well, we'll take your 6.5 rate and we're going to raise it to it'll probably take to 6 7/8, maybe 7. What does that do? Because 6.5 is the current 0-point rate that we can offer. If we deliver the loan to that lender at not 6.5, but 6 7/8, what that does is it creates what's called a net lender premium. In other words, at that higher rate, we're paid by the lender. So out of the rate is how we're paid. And for 0 points at 6.5, what that means is we're getting paid by the lender. And after getting us paid, we can still offer that borrower 6.5 with no points to them. But if they don't want to pay those non-recurring costs for $5,000, we just raise that rate further to 6.5. We're still being paid out of the rate by the lender, but that extra 3/8 in rate creates a net lender premium that can be pretty substantial. And in this example, I'm suggesting it could be as much as $5,000. So then what happens is that $5,000 of net lender premium, that's essentially owned by the borrower. So on the closing, those fees are still going to be listed there, but then there's going to be this net lender credit that'll be applied to that. So that essentially, voila, no closing costs. No, there are closing costs. You're choosing a rate above market intentionally to create that net lender premium to pay those costs for you. So that's really how the no closing cost loan works. And I'm not saying it's a bad idea. In some cases, it could be a good idea, particularly if you think maybe you're not going to keep the loan that long and you can still qualify at that higher rate. That can be a good option. And whenever I talk to somebody who's sort of sensitive to costs and they want to avoid them and do this no cost approach, that's what I explain to them is like, okay, you don't like the set of costs at 6.5, no points. Let's raise it to 6 7/8, and you'll get enough money from the lender, pay them for you. You're done.
Well, that makes it, I think clears it up a lot, and understand how, almost every fee you said is a fixed cost, and it's really not negotiable. So I hope this has shed some light on closing costs and down payment. And they truly are from the same family, but they're different. They're siblings. They're not the same. Right. And so if anybody wanted to get a hold of you for more information and say, hey, I would like to get qualified and get an idea of, hey, what are my closing costs if I put X number of dollars down? What's the best number for them to get a hold of you, Art?
Well, we just moved recently, Jeff. So we have a new number. That number at our office here is 760-969-5023. Again, 760-969-5023. Or, of course, there's always my cell, which these days everyone tends to call on cell phones anyway, 714-612-9035. So, yeah, give me a call. Let me know how much money you have to work with, and I can put these worksheets together just based on a conversation And that way you've got basically my price, what terms I can offer you based on certain parameters, and give that to you right up front, even before you apply. So you're comfortable that what we're going to be providing for you is going to come at a fair price.
Art, thank you very much. I appreciate you being on the hot seat today and filling out the questionnaire. And I think you did a great job. As I say, you've got a depth of knowledge that I could have thrown all kinds of things at you and you'd have had the right answer. So I really appreciate it, because there's a saying you have. What is it about questions and answers?
We have the answers and they're on the house.
Fantastic. Have a great show.
All right. Thanks, Jeff.